We reached the Broken Arrow Motor Lodge by late afternoon. At first I thought the place had changed hands, which it had in a way. Miss Hodge had died, and Irene was a different person, a slip cover of her former self. She had lost 106 pounds in 24 weeks by eating one Weight Watchers frozen dinner per day and nothing else but chamomile tea unsweetened. I told Boy if he wanted something different he could learn to cook it himself. Anybody that can butcher a side of beef can learn to cook. She explained. She had started a diet on her doctor's advice when she decided she wanted to have a baby. Irene seemed thrilled to see Turtle and me again, and insisted on feeding a whole bunch of us. She made a pot roast with onions and potatoes, and even though she couldn't touch it herself. She told us Mrs. Hodge had passed away in January, just a few weeks after I left. We knew it was coming, of course, she said to Esperanza and Esteban. She had a disease where you shake all the time. That was a disease, I asked? I had no idea it was something you could die from. I thought it was just old age. No, Irene shook her head gravely. Parkinson's. Who? I said. That's a disease, she said. I notice she's talking now. She meant Turtle, who was busily naming every vegetable on Esperanza's plate. She named them individually, so it went like this. Potato, carrot, 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 potato, onion, etc. Toward the end of the meal, she also said car, because underneath all the food, the plate had pictures of old-timey cars on them. After the others went to bed, I stayed up with Irene, who was expecting her husband in from Ponca City after midnight. We sat on high stools behind the desk in the bright front office, looking out through the plate glass at the highway and the long flat plain behind it. She told me she missed Miss Hodge something fierce. Oh, how I know she wasn't kind, Irene said, her thin down bosom heaving with a long sad sigh. It was always, here's my daughter-in-law Irene that can't make up a bed at the hospital corners and is proud of it. But really, I think she meant well. The next morning we had to make a decision. Either we'd go straight to the Sanctuary Church, which is a little to the east of Oklahoma City, or we could all stay together for another day. They could come with me to the bar where I had been presented with Turtle, or to help me look for whatever I thought I was going to find in the way of Turtle's relatives. I admitted to them that I could use the moral support, but on the other hand, I wouldn't understand if they didn't want to risk being on the road any more than they had to be. Without hesitation, they said they wanted to go with me. Retracing my original route became a little more complicated. I left the interstate when my steering column set itself free. That much I knew, and I stayed on the roadside for several hours before joining back up with the main highway. I can remember hardly any exact details from that night in the way of landmarks, and of course there were precious few there to begin with. The clue that tipped me off was a sign to the Pioneer Woman Museum. I remember that. We found a 2-lane road that I was pretty sure was the right one. As soon as we left the interstate, trading the fast out-of-state tourist cars for the companionship of station wagons and pickup trucks packed with families, we were on the Cherokee Nation. You could feel it. We began to understand that Oklahoma had been a good choice. Esteban and Esperanza could blend in here. Practically half the people we saw were Indians. Do Cherokees look like the Mayans? I asked Esteban. No, he said. Would a white person know that? No. After a little bit I asked him, would a Cherokee? Maybe, maybe not. He was smiling his perfect smile. I asked Turtle if anything looked familiar when I looked in the rearview mirror. I caught sight of her on Esperanza's lap, playing with Esperanza's hair and trying on Esperanza's sunglasses. Later I saw them playing a clapping hands game. The two of them looked perfectly content. Madonna and child with pink sunglasses. Nobody, not even a Mayan, could say they weren't. One time I thought, though I couldn't swear it, I heard her call Turtle Ismene. I was getting a cold feeling in the bottom of my stomach. I tried to keep myself cheerful. I always tell Turtle she's as good as the ones that came over on the Mayflower, I told Esteban. I landed at Plymouth Rock. She landed in a Plymouth. Esteban didn't laugh. In all fairness, I might not have told him before that she was born in a car. But also, he was preoccupied, going over and over the life history he had invented for himself in his Cherokee bride. He was quite imaginative. He had a whole little side plot about how his parents had disapproved of the marriage and had softened their hearts when they saw what a lovely woman Hope was. Stephen and Hope, he said, but we need a last name. How about Tutu, he said. That's a good solid Cherokee name. It's been in my family for months. Tutu? He repeated solemnly. I miss my own car. I miss Loanne, who always laughed at my jokes. I was positive I wouldn't recognize the place, if it was even still there, but as soon as I laid eyes on it, I knew. A little brick building with a Budweiser sign, and across the parking lot a garage. The garage looked closed. That's it, I said. I slowed down. What do I do? Stop the car, as someone suggested, but I kept going. My heart was pounding like a prison. A quarter of a mile down the road I stopped. I'm sorry, but I can't do this, I said. We all sat quietly for a minute. What was the worst thing that could happen? Someone asked. I don't know. That I won't find anybody that knows Turtle? Or that I will, and they'll want her back? I thought for a minute. The worst thing would be that we lose her some way, I said finally. What if you don't go in? We lose her. Esteban gave me a hug. For courage, he said. The Esperanza gave me a hug. Then Turtle did. I turned the car around and drove back to the bar. First let me go in alone, I said. It looked like a different place. I remembered all the signs. In case of a fire, yell fire. They were gone. Blue gingham curtains hung in the windows, and there were glasses of plastic roses and bachelor buttons on all the tables. I would have walked right out again, but I recognized the TV. Good picture, but no sound. And there was the same postcard rack, too, although it seemed to have changed its focus, placing more emphasis on scenic lakes and less on Oral Roberts University. A teenage girl in jeans and an apron came through a door from the kitchen. She had a round Indian face behind large blue-rimmed glasses. Get you some coffee? She asked cheerfully. Okay, I said, and sat down at the counter. Now what else can I do you for? I'm not sure. I'm looking for somebody. Oh, who? Were you meeting them for lunch here? No, it's not like that. It's kind of complicated. I was in here last December and met some people. I have to find them again. I think they might live around here. It's very important. She leaned her elbows on the counter. What was their names? I don't know. There was a woman and two men in cowboy hats. I think one of them might have been her husband or her boyfriend. I know, this isn't getting anywhere. Ed knew their names. Ed? Isn't that who runs the place? No, my parents own it. We bought it in March. I think, or April. Well, maybe your parents know Ed? Would he be around here? She shrugged. The place was just up for sale. I think whoever owned it before must have died. It was gross in here. You mean he died in here? She laughed. No, I just mean all the dirt and stuff. I had to scrub the grease off the back of the stove. It was black. I was thinking about running away from going back home. We're not from here. We're from over on Travel Land. But I think some kids here now. But I like some kids here now. But do any of the same people come here that always did? Like men drinking after work and that kind of thing? She shrugged. Right, that what you know. I stare at my cup of coffee as though I might find a future in it. Like the chicken bone lady back home. I don't know what to do, I finally said. She nodded out the window. Maybe you should bring your friends in for lunch. I did. We said I wanted the spick and span tables with plastic flowers and grilled cheese sandwiches. Turtle bounced in her seat and fed a tiny piece of grilled cheese to Shirley Poppy. Esteban and Esperanza required. Of course. You can speak Spanish in this part of the country. It would be noticed. After lunch I went up to the register to pay. Another member of the family had materialized from the kitchen. So I asked the girl if there was anyone else around here that might help me. Do you know the guy that runs a garage next door, Bob Tutu? He shook her head. he never came over here because we served beer. He was some religion, I forget. Are you telling me he's dead now too? Give me a break. Nah, he's just closed. I think Pop said he was getting a place closer to Okie City. It wasn't even a year ago that I was here. She shrugged. Nobody ever comes out here anyway. I never could see who would go to that garage in the first place. I put the change in my pocket. Well, thanks anyway, I told her. Thanks for trying to help. I hope your family does all right by this place. You fixed up real nice. She made a small gesture with her shoulders. Thanks. What did you mean when you said you came from tribal land? Isn't this the Cherokee Nation? This? Nah, this is nothing. This is kind of the edge of it, I guess. They don't have that sign up the road that says maintain. They do have that sign up the road that says maintained by the Cherokee tribe. But the main part's over east, towards the mountains. Oklahoma's mountains? She looked at me as though I might be stupid. Of course, the Ozark Mountains. Come here, look. She went over to the postcard rack and picked out some of the scenery cards. See how pretty? That's Lake O' the Cherokees. We used to go there every summer. My brothers like to fish, but I hate the worms. And this is another place on the same lake, and this is a Uloga Lake. That looks beautiful, I said. That's the Cherokee Nation? Part of it, she said. It's real big. The Cherokee Nation isn't any one place exactly. It is people. We have our own government and all. I had no idea, I said. How about the postcards? I would send one to Mama, although she was married now, of course, and didn't have any use for our old ace in the hole, the headrights. But even so, I owned an apology to Great-Grandpa, dead though he was. As we were leaving, I asked her about the TV. That's the one thing that's still the same. What's up with it anyway? Does everybody turn up the sound? The stupid thing is broke. You get the sound on one station and the picture on the other. See? She flipped to the next channel, which showed blue static, but played the sound perfectly. It was a commercial for Diet Coke. My grandma likes to leave it on 9. She's just about blind anyway, but the rest of us like it on 8. Do you ever get the Oral Roberts show? She guessed. She shrugged. I guess. I like Magnum P.I. Somehow I had been thinking that once we got back in the car and on the road again, everything would make sense, and I would know what to do. I didn't. This time, I didn't even know which way to head the car. If only Luann were here, I thought. Luann with her passion for playing Miss Neighborhood Detective. I knew she would say I was giving up too easily. What was I supposed to do? Stake out at the bar for a week or two and see if the woman ever showed up again? Would I recognize her if she did? Would she be willing to go to Oklahoma City with me to sign papers? There had never been the remotest possibility of finding any of Turtle's relatives. I had driven across the country on a snipe hunt. A snipe hunt is a joke on somebody, most likely some city cousin. You send them out in the woods with a paper bag and see how long it takes them to figure out what a fully is. But it also occurred to me to wonder why I had come this far. Generally speaking, I'm not a fool. I must have wanted something, and wanted it badly. To believe that hardened snipes. I can't give up, I said, as I turned the car around. I smacked my palms on the steering wheel again and again. I just can't. I want to go to Lake of Cherokees. Don't even ask me why. They didn't ask. So, do you want to come with me, or should we take you to your church now? Really, I can go either way. They wanted to come with me. I can see, looking back on it, that they were getting attached. We'll have a picnic by the lake, and stay in a cabin, and maybe find a boat somewhere and go out on the water. We'll have a vacation, I told him. When's the last time you two had a vacation? Estevan thought for a while. Never. Me too, I said.